E.T. here, and this is Mysterious Billy Smith, the welterweight champion of the world during the 1890s. Welterweight back then maxed out at 142 pounds. Today it's 147 or 67 kilos. Smith got the moniker Mysterious from a news reporter. The reporter asked, "Who is this mysterious Billy Smith?" Smith won 35 of 83 official bouts. Hardly an impressive record on paper, but yet he was ranked number 3 best welterweight ever by Ring magazine. That was back in 1935, right behind Joe Walcott and Mickey Walker. And Smith was inducted into the International Hall of Fame. That was in 2009. Smith's ranked so high because of the fights that he had with so many great boxers, including Hall of Famers like Barbados Joe Walcott. They fought, 5-6 times? George Kid Levine. And then there were other greats, Tommy Ryan, Matty Matthews, Danny Needham, from whom Smith won the welterweight title for his first time. Who else did he fight? Peter Jackson, young Corbett. Mysterious Billy was also famous for fighting, dirty. Many of his losses were actually disqualifications. He was not above using headbutts, elbows, knees to the groin, biting. Walcott, by the way, had once told his trainer between rounds when he was fighting Smith, "Boss, I ain't going to fight this man no more. He's a cannibal." But Billy Smith was not unique during a time when the Queensberry rules were just coming into effect, and they weren't always enforced. And keep in mind, boxing throughout the United States is spottily recognized as legit. And in particular, on the West Coast, the rules were iffy. Places like San Francisco and Portland, Oregon. Portland, where Billy eventually settled, in the town's most notorious North End. Smith was also not unique in that he did not earn a lot of money from boxing, despite holding a prestigious world title. So the sport for him was much more of a sideline, as he'd search for, more remunerative gains, sometimes from questionable activities. Not long after settling in Portland, Smith was befriended by another boxer named Larry Sullivan. He was a wily businessman, too, one who, on a particular day, would be sharing tea and crumpets with the mayor's wife at some charity event, and later in the day, entertaining one of the many prostitutes who were indirectly in the employ of Sullivan's employment business. That was called Sullivan, Grant Brothers, and McCarran. One of the many reported incidences involving Mysterious Billy Smith and Sullivan took place in 1895 in Portland at the Spokane Saloon. Both men and another named, Jackie Foley, got in a brawl with 3 Swedish men. This was all reported in the newspapers. Smith, according to one reporter, jumped on one of them and pounded his head until it was soft. End of quote. As it turned out, Sullivan got away, probably because of his many city connections, and only Billy was fined $25. Now that would be about $900 in 2024 money. Things between Sullivan and Billy went south when Billy and some others started a competing business against Sullivan. Sullivan provided crews for shipping companies that docked their ships, mostly sailing ships, at the Portland Wharf. And now Larry assembled his crews by Shanghaiing them. Shanghai, it's previously called impressment. Today we call it kidnapping or human trafficking. Sullivan provided these inexpensive rooms for tramps or men who used one of Sullivan's girls, or simply travelers down on their luck. According to the historian Finn J.D. John, that's his name, Larry's usual way of doing this involved pounding heads until they were soft, The ship's captains didn't care how they got the men, so long as they were capable of doing work. Well, Billy Smith, who'd performed some of Sullivan's dirty work, is now teaming up with other local men to form a competing operation against Sullivan. Now, he's doing all this while fighting off and on in the ring. Now, the resulting legal war is quite famous in Oregon. It involved the Oregon legislature, the courts, but it's way too much to talk about here. Eventually, mysterious Billy Smith settled down a bit. By 1915, he was retired from the ring. He opens up his own saloon called the Champion's Rest. By that time, he was one of Portland's most famous characters, known for many things, some notorious, some very impressive business-wise. But what happened in 1911, when Smith was still fighting, is toward the end of his career, probably tops the list for odd events in Mysterious Billy's life. In December of that year, 1911, the San Francisco Chronicle reported, and I'm quoting the headline, "Mysterious Billy Smith shot and fatally hurt." In fact, Smith was not killed. He was not even dying. But he had been shot 4 times by Smith's ex-wife's new husband, who was a steamboat captain. Smith told a Portland reporter that he was not concerned about punishing that husband. He just, wanted his wife back. Mysterious Billy Smith died at the age of 66 in Portland, and so went the man known as the dirtiest fighter who ever lived, or the man who'd fight anybody. He had many monikers besides Mysterious. And that, boys and girls, is the story, at least the interesting sliver of it in Mysterious Billy's life. If you enjoyed it, tap the thumb up icon, share the videos, subscribe, comment below. Thank you.